Justice.
And there it is. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of the NLG show. I know it's a little early. Looks like Fastback woke up for this, which is great. We want to welcome everybody in on this early edition of the show, and we're on early for a great reason. It is an honor and a privilege for us to have with us today the owner, operator, master of MakinGames, the man behind the trailer you just saw for Raging Justice, which is coming out in 2 days.
Ooh,
on Xbox,
2 days.
On Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and, as we saw in his picture, and Steam.
Yeah.
It is Mr. Nic Makin. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, thank you.
You are still alive and still awake.
Just about, yeah.
Oh man, this is it's such an honor to have you on. I've been we've been talking about this for like 2 years now, and
yeah.
I'm really happy that you were able to make time, and honestly on launch week, which
been crazy.
We are honored to have you. I'd expect you to be kind of under your table at this point. So, no, and it's what do we say? It was 5 hours ahead, which is why we're on at 4 today. So
it's 9 p.m.
Yeah, so that's even nicer. So, so how are things? How was your weekend?
Been great. I mean, the weather's blooming hot. It's a bank holiday weekend, so tomorrow I'm not in work, and so it's lovely, really.
Nice. And now, where are you exactly?
We're in the Midlands, so pretty much central to England, really.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that on a map.
Yeah.
that's what I can do.
We're about as far from the coast as you can get.
Oh.
I think.
Gotcha.
Which is not so nice, but it's nice and warm at the moment, so I don't care.
Yeah, we're starting to get the warm over here as well. By the time you left PAX, I think you took the cold with you because it started to warm up here.
It was PAX. I mean, Boston it wasn't too cold for me, but someone said it did snow one day and it was unusual. But yeah, I was inside all the time, so I didn't see it.
Right. No. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here, and I want to introduce you to the rest of the crew. Next to me is Peter Hutink. He's the man who I trusted with streaming the game for us and watching him, and I've got that footage we're gonna show while we're talking. But,
he's not the best, but he did his best.
No bears.
Had a lot of fun, though.
No bears were harmed in the making of Peter's stream.
Exactly.
So Peter is old like me, so we relish in these games. Although I don't think was it you that told me you hadn't played the other stuff like Streets of Rage and things like that?
I've touched it, but I haven't played it religiously.
Poor kid.
So yeah,
poor guy.
So I mean, I always love the gameplay and the stuff, and now with Raging Justice, with like super crisp graphics and the same kind of gameplay, and it's like it's awesome.
Very
super
much
cool.
So. No, and then over to your left, Nick, is Juan Gallardo. He is our resident retro guy. He does. You're in for a treat today because he does a fantastic retro rec, and he's got a good one today. And also our resident racing expert too, which has nothing to do with Raging Justice, I know. But if you ever want to talk Forza with somebody, this is your man.
I think Outrun's my level.
Yes, there we go. We just did actually. That was that was last week's retro.
Yeah, it was just a couple days ago. So that forgive my poor geography when it comes to the UK, but when you were talking about where you are, I basically pictured where they go in 28 days later, like where they end up.
It's towards that way, yeah. We're about an hour from there, I think.
Fantastic. No, I mean I'm sure it's gorgeous out there.
It's nice. It's typical British or English. Plenty of nice countryside. It rains a lot. Yeah.
I like quiet. Is it quiet?
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. There are plenty of quiet places around here. Nice, open, quiet areas, yeah.
Nice. So, all right. So, we're gonna get right to it because we're happy that you're here. We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to know about not just the game, but about you and MakinGames, and so that is the culmination of you and your wife Anna, correct?
Yes. So yeah, that's MakinGames. It's myself and my wife. Our surname's Makin, and when we decided to make a company, it's like, what else could we call it, really?
Right.
Totally fair.
Yeah, and it's perfect. So and so, Raging Justice. Let's talk about Raging Justice. Tell us, for those who haven't played it, and a couple people have, it looks like, in the chat room. Tell us what this is. Give us the rundown on Raging Justice.
Okay. So Raging Justice is a modern take on the classic side-scrolling brawler. It's a kind of, we call it more nostalgic rather than retro because it's a new game, but with kind of classic sensibilities. We're trying to take the game that for me was the pinnacle of the golden age of arcade gaming when I grew up, and that genre was the side-scrolling brawler, the 2D beat-em-up. Games like Final Fight, The Punisher, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, even Double Dragon, and at the home consoles, you've got Streets of Rage. You've got so many great games, Turtles, Simpsons. These were all the games that I loved playing as a kid. And now that I'm making my own game, it's just, why not make what kind of inspired me to become an indie dev. So Raging Justice is a modern take on this genre. It's trying to be crossing the boundary between old and new. So we're going with a nice, crisp graphics that look great on a HD screen. So, modern HD graphics rather than a pixel art. Surround sound thrown in there, but with a very kind of 2D old school feel to the game.
Nice. And so you're kind of, I've followed you on Twitter, and you're kind of a retro guy yourself. So how did you guys come up with this idea? Because at first, everybody, I think we've seen, and we all saw in the last couple months, you were, and we'll talk about this. You were picked up by Team 17, but for the first, let's see, when did you debut this? Was it 2 years ago?
Far too long. we've been working on this. It's almost retro, the amount of time we've been working on this.
When did you guys come up for the idea? When did it happen?
It started off more. Raging Justice wasn't meant as a big console release when it was started. It was something that we did almost like a bit of fun, something that we wanted to do together. So myself and the other two guys that are on the development side, Jay Howes and Steve Burke, we met when we worked at Rare on a game called Cameo Armaments of Power.
So
we worked on that. That was kind of our first game, like the three of us in the industry. And we worked on a few other things, we separated, went our different ways and what have you, but we were good friends. We'd go and watch what we'd call crap vids nights. We'd watch a Steven Seagal film or a Jean-Claude Van Damme film and take the mick out of it, but enjoy it in the same way. And we were talking about the kind of games that we like and the kind of things that kind of meshed into what we enjoyed. And it always came back to the side-scroll brawler. Really, it was one of the kind of the genres that we all have some history with in terms of things that we enjoyed as a kid. So for Jay, it was playing Vendetta at the seaside during the holidays. For me, it was always looking for Final Fight and then later Street Fighter. And we just wanted to make our own take on it as much as anything. It was more like a hobby. We were taking our time. We were just kind of putting together what we can, doing it indie. So we had no meetings. We had no kind of management telling us what to do and all this stuff. So we just worked on it for a bit, and then it grew and grew until it was the game that it's become now. And we moved to Xbox with Idea Xbox, then we signed with Team 17, and then we've gone even further and got multi-platform and everything, and absolutely tired for it, but we've 2 days from going.
So did you have to expand your team once you decided to multi-plat? Because I remember the whole Xbox portion, and I know that was your primary focus until the Team 17 announcement when you went multi-plat.
Yeah, so we were Xbox and PC and Mac, because Steve works on a Mac and he wanted to be able to play it, so it had to work on a Mac as well.
Fair enough.
So we were the three platforms originally, right? Where our original launch plans were Xbox and Steam. Then when we signed with Team 17, we felt we were almost ready to launch. It was about September last year we were talking to them, and we thought we're pretty much done here. You know, we were almost ready to launch. And talking with them, they gave us some feedback. They gave us, you know, some pointers on how to increase the polish, and also they said you really want to be multi-platform. You want to go for a simultaneous launch if you can. It'll be a lot of work, but if you think you can do it, you can do it. We can help if you want. You know, they're a great publisher in that regard. They're not just a publisher; they're a developer as well, so they have the resources for this. But I just said, I think I can do it. I think I can, you know, port the game to the other two, given the opportunity to, and get it ready for launch. And a lot of late nights and a good few weekends. Yeah, it's now ready for launch, and it's on all platforms. And I did the coding for it, so I'm quite proud of it for that. You know, it's me that did it. We haven't expanded. There's still just the myself on code, Jay on art, and Steve on audio.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, really impressive.
And Peter and I have watched you code. I mean, one of the
Yeah.
cool things that I thought you did that I would love to see more indie developers do is open up your the coding method, the things that, because it was neat. You did it on Twitch, so we followed you, and it was neat to watch you play the game, get to something, and then say, well, I need to change that, and to see how you bake the pie, how you code. And it was so cool to watch. It was one of my favorite things.
It's something that I wanted to do more of, but one of the things we ended up with, again, when signing with Team 17, we got some feedback, got some suggestions, add another character, try some new modes, try and, expand the game into a much kind of, not so much bigger, but like more of a complete package. And when we got to that, we were thinking, okay, we need kind of things to, beats in the launch plan, things that we can announce rather than it just being out there because I'm coding it there and then. So we had to hold off on the coding. I'd love to have done more. I mean, it was frustrating to have stuff that I couldn't talk about, that I couldn't show it coming together and what have you. And I'm already thinking of, assuming we are successful enough to do a sequel or to work on more games, I would love to go back to that, Twitch streaming or wherever streaming of the dev process. And I've got a few other ideas on how to expand that to make it more kind of open, if you will. Because it is nice to be able to show people what effort goes into the game, how it comes together, so either people can learn or they can at least see how bad I am at coding.
That was,
I can't hide it.
That was definitely awesome. I mean, me being a software engineer myself, I'm not more on the commercial side of, enterprise software, but it's just cool to, watch somebody else doing stuff and, and you see the game getting, more polished and coming together. And then it's like, we can't wait to get our hands on it. It's awesome. Yeah. It's really
I definitely think you go a long way towards increasing appreciation for, the process and I think I hope it goes wide. I hope a lot of companies and developers do this kind of thing, because I think that it could be good for gamers to increase that appreciation, because you see things on social media and such where sometimes gamers aren't really the best to the people who make the things that they admire so much. It's really crazy.
There's that whole thing of someone being a lazy dev, when pretty much no developers of video games are particularly lazy. It's just time becomes a problem, or or there's money pressures, or there's what have you. And showing what you're doing and how your process helps people understand that, yes, the bug that's in there wasn't there because you wanted to leave it there. It was there because some other reason. You've tried your best. You've shown people that it does take all this effort to do things.
Right. Yeah. No, I think we as gamers could go a long way towards appreciating better the people who do the things to make the things we like so much.
I mean, my biggest fear is, as a programmer, it's not that kind of entertaining when you're just programming. The times I stream were when I was trying to play test it, so you got to see some of the game, some little tweaks of the game, and some more of the game. Most of the time, it would be dull as dishwater. It's not, the most exciting thing to watch somebody programming.
Right.
No, but I think that when you show what goes into making the game, that and not just that, but there were a few other people in the room, and every once in a while someone would say, "Hey, that happened or this happened," and you would actually react to that. And that puts I remember at the beginning you had different people's names in as like in the background here it's Makin's bar, of course, but the folks whose names are up there, the different characters, those are people right?
Yeah, so the guy that just got knocked over in the feed there, that's one of the guys that I know on Twitter. I try to include people where I can.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for HDK and Stinger's bar. We're somewhere in there. I'm sure it's later level, right? We're DLC. We're going to be DLC. That's
DLC.
You're definitely in there because I was playing it earlier today, and I know Stinger came up as one of the arrest warrants.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I remember when you were coding, it's like, oh yeah, let me add you, Stinger, and I think me, HEK, I think maybe I made it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't make the cut, but
I think so. I remember seeing the name, and I'd have to double check. But yeah,
I'm gonna see. Well,
but it was just like while you were, deving it and just putting it in there, and that was just cool.
It was just, and those are cool things. Those are just cool things because it humanizes, and it speaks to Juan's point a little bit. It humanizes you as a developer. It's also that's why it's great that you're here with us today. And I know you've been on a tour. I think you did one earlier today too.
Yeah.
And that we have one of our kind of regulars is the community manager now for Warhorse behind Kingdom Come Deliverance, and getting him to come on and just for people to see you and to hear you talk about the game, and it's something other than just a print on the PlayStation or Xbox blog or things like that. It humanizes you, and it can endear people to the game. I mean, it just that's what did it for me with those streams, and just like I say, watching you make the game and watching you make the tweaks and code and things, and you go, this is an actual human being creating this. It's not, it's not a giant conglomerate. It's not, this isn't EA or Konami or Capcom or, this is a guy who's pouring his heart in his game, and he's showing it to you. He's showing you what he's doing, and I think that bodes well. And I would like to see more of that, not just on your end, but in general. I would like to see more developers take your lead on that, because I thought that I really thought that was great, and I took the time to watch it because I thought it was cool. And Peter, you're not doing half bad. I mean,
no, I'm not like completely. I'm just I don't know. It was the first time playing this. Like it was the first time that I played this game, and then on keyboard as well. So just getting a little bit used to it.
You are getting a crap shocked out of you, though.
Yeah, that lady, she keeps on shocking the crap out of me. It's like
there are some serious
so far. I think
there are some serious Final Fight parallels that I love about this, and one of them, the chicken dinner to pick up, and and the cheesy dialogue. I mean, because the version of Final Fight I have is the Sega CD version for the Mega CD version, and the dialogue in there is so horrible, and that's what makes it the game. It's it's because they added they added real voice, so you get a he Mr. Hagar, and you're like, oh god, this is horrible, but you love the game, and then once the game starts, it just it's like a love fest, and this has a lot of those parallels. So what drew you? So you were more drawn to these types of games than other styles of, you could have made a platformer for, like everybody else, but you went with the fighting brawler.
Yeah, it speaks to me as a gamer. I prefer this kind of game to the platform. I'll play a good platform like any game. I'll play a Mario or any of the other big ones usually.
But now that you're with Team 17, you have to say ukulele.
I have played ukulele. I mean, I know the guys that have made it, and it is a great game.
Oh, that's true. You do.
Yeah. So yeah, I like them. They're not the games that I choose to play when I want to play a game myself. You know, the fighting games are what I want to play, and that's why I end up with this one. As an indie dev, it might have been easier in some ways to go with a more traditional indie game, but you know, I'm making a game that I want. It's a game that I enjoy. You know, I was playing this earlier today because I've now got a retail copy of it. I can, or you know, the release version of it. I can play it as a player, and seeing the online leaderboards is kind of, I want to have a go at that. I know how this works.
Right.
Now, co-op, is this online co-op as well as couch?
Couch co-op at launch.
Okay.
That's all we've been able to do. It comes down to the amount of time it would take, because I'm the only program, and I'm not using an engine. I've programmed this. It's just kind of mostly me. I always wanted to add online, and I still want to. It's still part of the plan. You're just assuming that it does well enough to justify me spending the time on it, which I'm very, optimistic that I'll get to do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Online's one of those things that it's expected in this day and age, and being just a small indie, it's been difficult to get that at launch, but we want it online, definitely.
And I know with the ID at Xbox program that they, online is part of the kit and all that stuff. So when you went multi-plat, were you able to get, I guess, in touch with folks at Sony and Nintendo to try to get some of this off the ground for the other? Because I would imagine if you are the one coding it, you have to port it.
Yeah, I was the one porting it, so we had to get hold of a PlayStation development kit and a Switch development kit. But because we had something, it's not like we're saying, here's our idea for a game. Here's our game. Mm-hmm. It's almost finished. We just need to port it now, and then it'll be released. So that gave us, a good way in to chat with them. And obviously, having signed with Team 17, that was a great benefit in terms of chatting and getting through the door with Sony and Nintendo and getting them on board with us.
And what was their? I mean, how did they how did they receive this game as they saw it? I mean, this is something that honestly, other than the Sega classics, I can't think of. You guys are gonna have to help me, Juan and Peter, because I can't think of another game like this on a system right now. Not that's new.
There's been a few, because obviously I've been doing as much research as I can into the genre, being that we're about to release one. There's been a few games that are similar enough to this.
I guess maybe Turtles in Manhattan. Maybe.
Yeah, you've got the recent Turtles game. You've got.
I was thinking about the revivals for or the homages, if you will, to the River City series. There's been a couple of those in recent years.
Okay.
River City Ransom, was it?
Yeah, River City Ransom was the old one, and then I think they had River City Underground most recently, which was done up in that kind of same art style. Yeah,
it was more of there's like an adventure to it, isn't it?
I think so.
That's what I mean. Is like this is a straight up. This is just straight up Streets of Rage, Final Fight. When I watched, when you did your River City Ransom Retro Rec, say that 5 times fast, there was still a little bit of that not platformer, but it was almost like a half fighting, half RPG kind of game. Where I'm talking about
advancement elements.
Yeah, I'm talking about this is just a straight up what Nick, you and I would call a button masher, right?
A beat 'em up.
I mean, this one we've gone with a almost true to arcade style with it.
Right.
There's no long-term state. There's no inventory. There's no huge amount of stats and things that you can increase and change your character and customize it. It's the equivalent of put your money in, play the game, have fun.
Right.
It's very into it, and that's I suppose if you look at it that way. Yeah, there isn't many in that style. They tend to expand much more. I know a recent game that came out called Wolverblade's got an arcade mode to it, as well as the The story mode with much more background and much more in-depth stuff. That was a recent kind of a hack and slash beat 'em up. Then you've got other games like what was it called? Mother Russia Bleeds. That was a recent one that was released by Devolver. That again, I think, was a bit slightly more heavy on the story than the game the way we're doing it. So there's been a few brawlers and beat 'em ups, but maybe not quite in the fashion we've been doing it for.
Justice. I guess that's what I was getting at, was like this. This to me, like when I look at this, it harkens me back to to days of like this character too. I don't know if you remember a game on the Genesis called DJ Boy, but he looks a little bit like DJ Boy. Or he also looks a little bit like the character on skates in Streets of Rage 3. Yes.
So that was one of our inspirations because we wanted to have a younger character. We wanted to we'd had like a man and a full-grown man, full-grown woman. We felt that maybe having a teen character would just kind of round it all off.
Right.
So
I was thinking
got a character to play.
What was his name in the second Streets of Rage? That's who I was thinking of when I saw him.
Skate. Sammy.
That's right, Skate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, for this, I mean, it's just, this to me is just, I can just throw this on and just rock and roll. And that's what I like. I'm getting old. I can't do all this progression and whatnot. I just want to crack heads. And this is exactly what I mean,
my plan was always you start it up and within less than 30 seconds from putting your console on, I wanted you to be, I don't know whether it can load up that fast, but the idea was within 30 seconds of the console on, you're in and playing. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to almost feel like a cartridge game where you put the cartridge in, click it on, 3 presses of a button, and you're playing.
Right.
That was always the plan. Is it's not going to compete on the same level as a full-on adventure game or a huge epic like Monster Hunter. It's not going to compete with those kind of games. It's not that trying to take over your time. It's just half an hour of fun, an hour of fun. You want to just crack some heads for a bit, play this, then go on to a big game if you've got the time. But it's just a quick bit of fun.
Mm-hmm. Hey, sometimes as an adult, I ain't got that time. It's nice to be able to sit down with something that I can just fire up and play.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And sometimes
this game is going to be pinned to my dashboard. It's like readily available, and it's awesome.
Look, Nick, how many kids do you have?
I got 3.
Okay, I have 3. I have 3 boys. Every once in a while, I need to get away from them, and I need to come down, and I need to just wail on some people. So, trust me, this game, and what we appreciated very much. Ashley from Team 17 sent us over this code so that Peter could stream it and stuff. But I know come Tuesday, I'm buying it.
Excellent.
I'm absolutely because the other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I support your efforts and things. So one of your game sales is gonna come from me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's same here.
Yeah, and it's gonna be although I will say that it's gonna be Xbox One because I can't imagine playing this game on the DualShock. I don't know how my hands will be like this when I'm done. I will not be able to I won't be able to write or type. So I've got to play this on my key. I always say asynchronous. It's not right. Asymmetrical sticks.
Asymmetrical.
So
yeah.
Now
I might even get it on the Switch though, because it's like you can just quickly whip it out and
take it on the go.
Take it on the go.
Now
we try to make it. We try to make it as kind of. I don't really mind what console you've got. It's going to play as well as it can on each of them, and to the strengths of each one. So your trophies and your achievements on Xbox and PlayStation, and the portability on the Switch where you can just take the Joy-Cons off and play 2-player.
Nice. So I assume on all the platforms, D-pad is totally usable.
Yeah. So D-pad or stick, they both work. There's no configuration. It's just start using one or the other.
Nice. And oddly enough, on a game like this, I have trouble with analog sticks. Like I have the Sega Classic. The Sega Classic Streets of Rage just came out on Xbox Games with Gold, so I downloaded it, played it, and I'm trying to play it with the analog stick, and I'm having a hell of a time. So I started playing with the D-pad, and I'm like, this is what I remember.
Yeah. But it has to work with the D-pad. It has to feel that way.
Yes.
You know, when you play the old games, and it's like after you played Raging Justice, it's like, it doesn't look that good. I really want to play Raging Justice again because, you get spoiled, and it plays just as well or better. And it has a ton of eye candy, so...
Yeah, it's true. With the Game Pass, I downloaded the Sega Vintage, what they call them, the Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3, and it's still enjoyable brawler to play, but it's you definitely can see the age.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said this is a custom, so we'll call it a custom engine because you said you wrote this from scratch.
I started off with an open source engine called Cocos 2D, which is a good enough starting place for a 2D game. But then over time, I've had to expand it, tweak it, change it. I mean, Cocos gave me PC and Mac straight away. That was one of the benefits of it. But then when I was having problems with, I wasn't 100% happy with the way the audio was working, so I replaced that. I wasn't so happy with this bit, so I replaced that. And it gave me, because it was full open source, I had all the source, so I could pick and choose the bits that I wanted out of it and replace the bits that I didn't need. And then when it came to adding Xbox and then later Switch and PlayStation, it wasn't that hard to tweak because I had all the source code for it.
Nice. And so you have who was doing your art? Because you said you were the coder, you had an artist.
Yeah, Jay Howes is doing our artwork. So Jay, as I say, he joined Rare around the same time that I did, and he worked on games like Cameo, Elements of Power. I think he did some work for Banjo Nuts and Bolts, and he's moved on to other places since then, and we've kept in touch through Raging Justice.
Cool. So where did he come up with the character designs and stuff? I mean, because it almost there's a hair bit of this that looks digitized, like that old not Street Fighter, like
Fighter,
a modern day Pit Fighter, right? A modern day Pit Fighter.
So art wise, Jay's thoughts were he wanted to come up with a style that was a bit retro. So he said he always liked the Donkey Kong Country, the Killer Instinct back in the day, where it was these pre-rendered artwork where the characters had been done in 3D and then rendered out to a flat sprite, and from there it was just a 2D game, but with this kind of 3D feel and detail to the graphics that at the time wasn't the norm. Video game wise, history wise, we all moved on to N64 and PlayStation and everything went 3D. So Jay was trying to think, what if when seeing the graphics like Donkey Kong Country, they decided this is it, this is how we do graphics. Where would it have gone to now? Where would it be at now? So he does the full 3D characters, fully articulated chunky 3D characters, and then renders them out into sprites, into images for me to use in the game. But it gives him the opportunity to do almost whatever he wants with technology. So he can do cloth physics, he can do fancy dynamics and fancy motion blurs and things into these images that don't cost me as a programmer any headaches, because I'm still just drawing a single sprite. And the other thing he decided early on was the animation to have this kind of almost stop motion feel to it, which I think is part of the reason why they feel even more like claymation, is the kind of stop motion animation style. It's not the animation, although the game runs at 60, the game's got the kind of 60 instant kind of snappy feel to it. The animations are ran a little bit slower than that to give it this kind of not quite realistic realism.
Well, it's like the old cartoon drawn. We keep going back to like the Final Fight and stuff. Where one animation is here, the other animation is here, and and even the guys that are just standing around are doing this, and they're moving back and forth, and but you're doing it in 3D. You're doing it in a modern graphics engine, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And and it works because this is it's and it looks like hit detection is not an issue, which is always good. That would be the only thing that you think about, but it looks like hit detection is not an issue, which is great.
Yeah, we spent a long time getting the hitboxes just right. When we first moved to Xbox, we didn't use hitboxes. We just had a simple distance thing, and people enjoyed that, but we knew that it was missing something. It was missing that kind of finesse that a proper hit detection was. It was our kind of almost concept level of we've got the game, it's playing well, how do we make it finished, how do we take it further, and the obvious one was the hitboxes. So we've gone and tried to get the hitboxes just right for the characters and for the moves, so that your hits feel like they can connect when you expect them to, and they don't when they don't. It is a very important thing for us to have tweaked and got right. The hitboxes and the hurt boxes alongside the animation speeds, of course. So each animation, they're not all run the same frame rate animation. Some of them will run faster than others to get the gameplay just feeling the way we want it. It's a lot of going back and forth to tweak those timings and the kind of the feel.
Sure.
Sounds like a lot of fine tuning.
It is. I mean, one of our ways of working when it came to fine tuning was, rather than to kind of sit back and analyze the classics and go over with how many frames they used for this and how fast they did that, is we implement what we felt was right, and then we tweak it and tweak it and tweak it from what we felt was right. That was based on our nostalgia of the games that we've been inspired by, rather than our analysis of them. So we'd play some of the old games, especially when we were first starting out, and get a feel for what we enjoyed on there. That combined with the things that we remember from back in the day when we were younger, we felt these must be the standout things. These are the things that make that game or that game. And we tried to take our versions of these things, if you get what I say. It's trying to put it together from our inspirations rather than from our analysis.
Nice. Now, how did you because moving out, I'll turn this up just a minute. You were able to get Steve Burke to get to some of the soundtrack, right?
Yeah.
And so, Steve's got quite a laundry list of accomplishments too. How was he fairly excited to work on this?
Yeah, I mean, it helps with us all having been friends,
Right.
Not just having been colleagues, but we were good friends, and it's like I didn't have anyone else that I thought I would ask. Really, it's like, well, I'll just ask Steve. To me, it's Steve. He's my friend. He's also a very accomplished musician and composer and sound effect designer. Happens to be as well. It's. I'm very lucky and fortunate in that regard, and that he was, completely up for working on it. Yeah, pretty much almost every character in there is him. His voice is modulated for except for the female characters. He's done some work to get them all sound a little bit different, all the different tones and angry sounds.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Because I know he just his last one was ukulele that he worked on.
Yeah.
He worked on it with
he did
with
some
Grant.
of the he did some of the I think the multi game things. He did all the music for that, and I mean, Steve's versatile. That's another thing that's great working with him. He can, although we don't have vast orchestral pieces, he's quite at home writing an orchestral piece or a retro piece or something with a kind of a grungy kind of guitar feel that we've got in Raising Justice. It's great. The music, I've been listening to this now since it was playing, and I still think it fits the game so well. It just sounds so right when you're playing the game. He's done a fantastic job with that.
Such a key element.
It is. I mean, if you ask somebody what do they remember from Final Fight or from Streets of Rage, it's often the music. It's often as much as the game itself.
Yeah, that Streets of Rage. I kind of came up as a Final Fight guy because I was, I didn't have every system as a kid, and what I ended up with was the NES and the SNES. So I came into Final Fight later, and when I'm buying my own stuff as an adult, and that soundtrack is just killer, and it's such a huge part of it. I'm really looking forward to giving it a listen on this title. When I get the opportunity here soon, 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, and I was a Genesis guy growing up, so the soundtracks to these games were really key.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most memorable one for me is Streets of Rage 2, right at the beginning, where the sound is coming in both ears in stereo. The soundtrack, not the actual fighting sounds, but the soundtrack is coming in stereo, and it draws you into what you're doing. Like Peter getting run over by.
Yeah, I know. I got the other two, and this one gives me a little bit of headache.
You gotta watch more of the running. You gotta watch more of the movie The Running Man.
Yeah, I actually keep a running playlist that I add to on the regular from YouTube on my Twitter account, pinned for people to listen to different retro music when it strikes me as something that needs to be on the list, and so or whatever I happen to be playing at the time. So I'm sure one of the tracks will make it.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is. And so now it's funny knowing all those voices are Steve. But just the burgers and all that stuff.
Burger fly out. Yeah, it's just.
Well, it's a fine tradition of street turkey or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, roadkill. Where did the bear come from? I have to ask. Where did the bear come from?
The bear. So on one of the later levels, there's a stuffed bear that you can knock over and use as a weapon. We actually added the bear as a slight homage to one of the early. Well, not early. A few years ago, there was an iPhone game called Fist of Awesome by an English dev, Nicole Hunt, which was a side-scrolling brawler. It's a really good one on the phone. I think he's also released it on Steam now. It's a pixel art, but it's a really cool brawler. And we just wanted something that was kind of a nod to that. I know it's not necessarily the biggest game around or anything, but we just thought he had bears. It was a lumberjack that fights bears. So we thought we'll stick a bear in as a kind of nod to this game. And when Team 17 were coming up with the trailers, they just loved the bear. That they thought we're going to use this in the trailer, and they put him in a tractor, driving it. And it's just a funny thing, because one thing that we found that was important for this is not to take itself too seriously. The graphics, they look serious. It looks like we're doing a very serious kind of game with this almost photorealistic, or the style of it. But we want to focus on the fun. It's not so much about it being, in the real world. People aren't going to be all gored and mutilated and all that stuff. It's just you're having fun beating people up. It's always called a KO, not a kill. It's light-hearted in its own way. And then throw things like the bear into it as a weapon that you can use because you knock the bear over. And then in the trailer, it's kind of a funny character that people are now telling me we should add it as a playable character.
That's what. So here I am thinking it was. That's the thing. When I saw because the last trailer has the bear at the very end driving the tractor, and I'm thinking we're gonna be able to play as the bear, aren't we?
I think I've got a little job then. That needs to be on the next job.
Yes.
Nice.
You could call the bear HTK. So.
To kill.
Where did the idea for the tractor come from? Like the motorcycles I get, but the tractor just came out of nowhere, and it's become like this part, like the riding mower and the tractor have like become like the staples of the trailers, which I think is great.
Yeah. So it was. I think I can't quite remember exactly how it happened, but I think I got an email from Jay saying I've done a tractor. Can you put this in? And I was thinking, what? How? Why? Well, it'll be fun.
April 1st, was it?
No, because he'd done a tractor. It wasn't, I think part of inspiration was the game Golden Axe, because you could ride on dragons and things like that. And it's like, well, we'll have a ride-on thing, we'll have a tractor. But yeah, it's a tractor. We spent far too long getting it working in the game and playing right and feeling just right, and then we realized that after months of putting it in, it was really good fun playing as it, and we had one tractor. We we had a game with 9 levels in it, and we had the tractor in once, and we just spent ages making this thing, and it's fun. So at which point we had a discussion, and I think Jay came up with the idea of let's do a ride-on lawnmower. It kind of fits in one of the later levels. We'll have 2 then. So yeah, we then added the lawnmower.
Nice. So
Fantastic.
It was just something that it turned. We tried it. We spent a bit of time with it, and we decided that's fun. We'll do more. As I say, we've. I think part of our mistakes, if you will, when making the game is we didn't plan enough. We didn't come up with initial designs on this, that, or the other enough that it's all kind of evolves over time. It means we've got a great game at the end of it, but it means it's taken a little bit more time and effort to finesse things the way we probably should have planned from the start. But hey, 2 days left till we're launched, we're done.
Yeah. So what because I know whenever I asked you, and you don't, if you don't want to answer, it's fine. But I've always, I used to always ask you in your stream, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? You're like, soon.
Soon, TM.
What was your hope to launch? I mean, I know, you've got to have money, and you have to have, were you originally were you looking to launch in like 2016, 2017?
Yes. Originally, we were probably hoping to launch before then, to be entirely honest with you. But when we started solidifying things, we thought 2015, I think. Let me think. Yeah, 2015 was when we were hoping to launch, mainly because we started showing the game by this point. It was starting to feel like it was coming together. We knew there was a fair amount left in it, but Anna and I were about to have our 3rd child, and we thought we've got to get this out before they come along. We've got to. So we did our best, and various things kind of got in the way. Having another child is, especially a 3rd child, can be more effort than you remember.
I'm with you.
So we had to put it on hold at that point for 6 months while we just went with the whole new parents thing again.
Fellow members of the 3rd Child Club, I'm with you. I understand that completely.
Yeah. So from then it was okay. When we came back to it, we thought we're gonna not ruin ourselves trying to get this finished. We're gonna get it finished properly. We're gonna take the time that we need to do it, but not impact our family life really. We've said for a while now that we're gonna have to keep family first. It's the game is important. Releasing it correct and finished is important, but we can't, overdo things where we're gonna cause not damage, but cause problems at home, so to speak.
You know what?
And now you would say you have a raging justice baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love those words put together?
But you know what? If people listening and they're gonna watch this later, if people don't hear that and support this game just based on that, I mean that to me speaks volumes about you guys as people. And again, as we humanize, as we humanize developing, which is what we talked about earlier, that I like that attitude. The game can wait, and you have to feel a little good about the fact that so it took a little longer, but look what we got out of it. We got a publisher.
I mean, we got a publisher. We got it finished much more than the way it is now. It's much better than we could have ever dreamed it being. We thought it was almost finished 2 years ago, 3 years, or 2.5 years ago. We thought it was almost finished. Then we spent another year polishing it ourselves. Then we signed with Team 17. Then they offered us some more advice, and we polished it further. They gave us some more hints on how to improve it for launch. We polished it further. We took it further, and where it is now is we're just in a whole new level compared to where we were originally aiming at. It's great.
That's wonderful, and it doesn't hurt that that you guys caught the eye of probably one of my favorite publishers of all time. I mean, I've been playing Worms for 30 years, and most everything Team 17 is quality product. So, I know from not, if I hadn't seen Peter streaming it, if I didn't know you any more than just, somebody on Twitter, if I hadn't seen you code, if we hadn't gotten to this point, I would know that Team 17 doesn't just find any old game and just throw it out there. They go they go for quality, and they're developers themselves, so they understand what it takes. I would have bought it cold just based on the publisher. So that's just me. So that was a great thing, and I was so happy for you when this happened. I know I tweeted that to you. I was so happy because this makes the game come into its own in a way that that I think you'll benefit from immensely.
We always intended when we started moving it into a game that would actually be released and sold. We always thought we'll publish this ourselves. People are doing well on iPhones and stuff, publishing their own games, and over time we kept looking at the market and thinking it's getting harder. It's not as easy to have success. It's easy enough to publish yourself, but it's not easy to get that success that you hope to get. And signing with a publisher, especially one of the kind of the level of Team 17, it kind of gives us that range, that kind of the professionalism, for want of a better term. They're very good at what they do. They do things that they're able to do things like the whole dealing with managing a community, opening doors for us in terms of PR, all these things that as an independent developer, no matter what we've worked on in the past, this is our first game as MakinGames. Nobody knows the name MakinGames yet because we've not launched anything. So without a name behind us, we'd probably fade into obscurity. But with somebody as great as Team 17, that gives us a fighting chance, and they've been absolutely wonderful. They've, as I say, because of them, the game is so much better than we could have believed it would have been.
Now, did they help you make those trailers, or did you guys have those in the can already?
No, the Team 17 marketing department have got a great team that do the trailers. I mean, that's their kind of their job, if you will. Whereas we would have put something together as like Jay would probably have done it as our artist, but making a trailer, it's not his first job, if you know what I mean. It's something he can do well. But somebody who does this professionally for a living, they're going to make it so much better. That's their job. They're at the top of the game when it comes to making trailers, and we're lucky to have them.
I loved it. I loved the trailer, actually. Not just that one. There were two of them that there was that one, and then there was the new character announcement when you announced Ashley, and because that one had the bear. And so
I think the bear's been a stalwart of the trailer.
It is. Well, the first one, as we showed at the beginning, was just I think it was just him, just Rick. But the second one, and I think what we'll do is on the outro we'll show that trailer, the character trailer when we leave, because I really liked that one, and I just thought the way those trailers were done was kind of like that Sunday afternoon tractor pull trailer. It's like Sunday, come see, that kind of thing. It was really cool, and it gets your attention. And I'm just, like I said, I'm really happy that you guys are getting that visibility. I know. I think at least Peter and I can speak together. Him and I have been anxiously awaiting this game, and that. I mean, you know that. So as much as I've been bugging you to come on with us, you know that this game has been a long await for me, and that I was going to wait as long as it took for you to get this thing done.
Yeah.
So, and I'm jealous. I got that I let Peter play it before me.
Well, at least you get to watch.
I did get to watch. We're watching now.
Yeah.
You're not doing that bad, actually. I mean, that's pretty impressive for mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
No.
You see me, trying to arrest him because it's the A key, and then do didn't quite have the keys down, and I think in this particular preview build it didn't quite explain. Well, I might have explained what the buttons do, but later on I couldn't go in the settings and see what they were mapped to, so I kind of forgot. But yeah, I mean it's
in the final build you can change your keyboard settings if you're a keyboard player.
Right.
Or
You've
you
been
can just play
selected
with
to participate in a short 30-second survey.
What
To
the
say
hell?
thank you,
Hold on.
you'll be able to select
What
one
is
of our
that?
exclusive offers.
Oh
I have no idea.
My machine's being taken over by a. Okay, sorry about that.
Somebody's exclusive offer.
Yeah.
So, question from the developer standpoint there. I read an article that was written by another indie developer like Defiant Development, who were behind the Hand of Fate games.
Mm-hmm.
Familiar with those? And they were taking a look at the value of saying no, and when talking with people in the community, when talking with people who are looking forward to the game, and for example, how maybe say Hello Games with No Man's Sky kind of didn't say no enough. Yes. And have you ever run into anything like that where you've had is this going to be in the game? Is that going to be in the game? You've had to you had to make the hard choice to say we're not going to put that in right now because.
A lot of things that people suggest we've not ruled out on the whole because we're not taking it as a cartridge game. We've not launched it and we can't update it. We can update things, but we tend not to, or we're trying not to promise anything because we can't promise anything. It's taken us these many years to get where we are now.
Right.
But we've taken everything that's suggested to us and we do add it to our kind of list of things to consider and list of things to have a think about, so that if we do get a chance to either maybe work on a sequel or maybe just further updates to this, we can look at adding stuff, things that people have. If enough people ask for something, we can see that it's popular with people who are playing our game. It comes down to that whole opening up your development process side of it. I don't want to say, well, what I know is best. It isn't always the best. People can offer me an idea just from a tweet or something where it's like, oh, actually, that's cool. I could take that and work it into this or change that. I'd rather have that kind of openness with them, but obviously I can't say, oh, your idea for this, I'll definitely do it, or we'll definitely look at this. I can always try considering things, but I would tend to say, if I haven't got the time, I haven't got the time, or I can't, don't think it fits, maybe we'll look at it in the future. I don't know. I'm happy to be honest with people. But because I still don't see the game as finished, I know it's out in 2 days. But I don't see the game as finished. It's not, done until it's done.
DLC.
Well, there's always something, right?
Yeah, there's always something. I mean, even with adding DLC or adding new things or anything like that, I could probably work on this same game for another 5 years or so and still not be thinking it's finished. I could add so much more to it. I've got my notepad of ideas that didn't quite make it is long enough that I've definitely got a sequel ready in there. If I dug at it and fine tuned it, I could find enough content there that's new enough and different enough that's still Raging Justice. But yeah, I've got plenty of things to think about, and I'm happy to chat about them as much as possible or hear people's thoughts on them. I'm not, as I say, it's never going to be something that I promise that I can do, but unless it's something that I know I can't do. If I can't do it, I'll say no. That's not going to happen. Politely.
Right.
Politely. Hey,
well, that was in that article. That's the danger of the no is you can turn potential players off early by telling them no, but the value was clearly visible with something like No Man's Sky, where expectations were just completely out of control.
Yeah, our biggest problem, I suppose, was online. We up until probably middle of last year said, yeah, we're going to do online, we're going to do our best, we're going to try, we're really going to push for it to be right there. And right now we've just said it, although we always said it might slip to an update, we realized last year that it'll have to be an update. We'll have to see how we can do it because we can't promise it 100%, but we want it. It's something that we want in the game, so we're going to do our best to do it. But that's probably the main thing that we've maybe managed not as well as we should do expectation-wise. But as I say, we still want it in there. It's not going to not happen. It's just finding the time and energy to do it.
Right.
Right now, I have no energy.
Yeah,
And also because now you're on multi-platform, so now you have to deal with your PlayStation Network, Xbox Live.
Yeah, I think that's
so it might
more
complicate it a little bit more, or at least time-wise.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the part of the reason now that we're saying we need to look into what's involved, because previously when it was only Xbox or Xbox and Steam, it was one online, it was one way of doing things, one set of certification. The whole, when you release on console, you've got all these requirements that you have to go through for the console, and we now have 3 plus Steam, and it's a lot of work. It's something that we want to do. It's, as I say, it's not something we're shying away from. We want to do this. This is important to the game, and it's probably the number one thing that people have asked for that we haven't got in there right now. So we're going to look and do our damnedest to get it working. But yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this is going to start with like a week off after the launch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'd like a week.
Well earned.
So, because and we talked about this before the show. Your wife Hannah, she's the marketing and advertiser and
Yeah, she runs the business side of making games effectively, and the publishing side of, well, not publishing, but she.
Right. Well, she
she's
would
the
have
one
if
that,
you published.
Yes.
If you self-published.
If we'd have self-published, Anna would have been the one that was effectively our publisher.
So.
But now she's the main liaison with Team 17, so that I can get on with the coding side of things, and she'll talk to their PR department. She'll organise me, being on shows and interviews and things.
Tell her we said thank you.
I will.
Because I like I said, I'm pretty sure she's the reason you're on camera too, right? So, which we appreciate. I honestly, seriously, we I know it's always been, the two of you as the faces of making games, and I saw it. We've seen pictures at PAX and things like that. So we know how important she is to this as well. So we were hoping she'd say hello, but we understand. Totally understand. So please pass along our thanks and our greetings and our wishes for success for her side of things too. Because hopefully this is not just Rage and Justice. This is going to be what moves forward with you guys.
I really do hope so. We've both thoroughly enjoyed it. There was always that kind of worry when don't work with family and friends, I think is a saying I've heard in the past. But we live together, we have kids together, we're married, we're all these things that maybe working together is taking it too far. But no, we've got on well. We've enjoyed that side of it as much as any other side of our life. It's been great. So yeah, hopefully we can continue this.
Well, and who else understands it better?
Yeah.
Who else understands the late nights and the and all that stuff? So,
and who else can have no fear of saying, no, you are doing that. You can work extra. I know you can work extra.
Yes, please. Can you please go work?
All you do is work on a game.
Yeah. So you've been, and what's cool is you've taken this on the road to shows. So the last show you were at was PAX East. So
yeah,
and one of our friends in the chat room who's been hanging out there, his name is Fastback. He has seen you. He's seen the game at PAX. Overall, we've seen pictures. How's the reception been at those shows?
It was really good. One of the not necessarily easy, but one of the best reasons this does as well as it does is it is the game that it looks like it's the game of. It's not an in-depth game where you have to spend some time with the developer to learn stuff. It works well at a show because you can just pick up a joypad. There's no kind of, okay, well, I'll sit down with you and I'll explain the controls and motivations behind the design and how it works and stuff like that. Here's a joypad. Go play Rage and Justice. It's fun. And you hand it to them. There may be, for a new player, they may need to know what the buttons do and things like the arrest move isn't as instant as just fighting, but it's fun to pick up. So people who walk past and see it, they can a lot of people already have an inkling of how they hope it will play. So when they pick up the joypad, I've almost won them over before then in terms of the style of game. It just takes that little bit more for them to have a little go and they go, actually, yeah, this plays as well, if not better than I hoped it would. So yeah, we've had a absolutely fantastic response, really, from the people who played it at PAX. There was one lady at PAX who came back, I think, 3 days on the run. You know, she played it the first day she was there, and she came back the second day, and on the third day she came back and said, "It's my final day. I'm on the way out, but I need to play Raging Justice one more time."
Oh, that's fantastic!
That's awesome.
You know,
Cool.
and, you know, we only had, I think, the same 3 stages available like you have in the demo that is being played now. But she played those 3 stages, and she came back and played them again because she just enjoyed the act of playing the game. It wasn't about, you know, finding something necessarily new. It was just enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
And that's what's gonna get this game out, out the door even better. You can advertise it. You can, you can get it. You can talk about it. You can show coding. You can get other people. People have to play it and then tell other people how good it is. That's the key.
Yeah.
And while we're very happy to stream it, and I know Peter will stream when it comes out retail, and I'll probably do some as well. Getting people to actually play it. I am so stoked to play it. Like I'm watching it, and just it's like can Tuesday get here, because I know what I'm doing that night, and I know what I'm playing. It's like I already know what I'm playing. This is what's gonna, I'm going to put God of War aside to play this. I mean, that is that, and I'm hoping that people will see what we're talking about here, and say the same thing, because this is, like I said, for me, all other games aside, I can't think of many other things that are like this, and look, in this day of an age, you have to. Everybody feels like they have to have all these crazy elements in their game, and leveling up and RP. Every fighting game has to have an RPG element. I'm like, no, they don't. You sometimes you can just sometimes you can just get in there and just beat the crap out of somebody, and then go and play something else.
I mean, at one point in the development, we actually had moves would unlock throughout the game. So as you played through the game, it took the first 3 levels so you had all the moves unlocked. But we started realizing after playing it again and again, it's like, I don't want to play those early levels anymore because I don't have the moves that I want. So we just pared it back. We said, let's just give them everything. Let's just let you play. Let's take out that kind of progression feel to it and just say, you've got all the moves, they're there. It's not that we've taken anything fun out of it. We've just given you more fun from the start. So
right.
we have at times looked at things and then just pared it right back because of that whole arcade instant feel to it. It is important for us to have it fun straight away.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had when I started to watch you and started to kind of get an idea, I of course had looked you up a long time ago, and I'm like, wait a minute, this dude was at Rare. I mean, some of the games that you worked on at Rare are some of the staple games of even the Xbox 360 era. I mean, we're talking about Cameo is by far. I've been on that bandwagon of there needs to be another Cameo.
Yes, there should.
I
agree with that.
It
was one of those games that it turned out better than I thought it would at the time. There was some times during the development of that I didn't think it was going to finish right, but I played it after launch. Yeah.
I mean, it went across what 3 different platforms, right? I mean, it started out as an N64 game.
It was when I started on it. They always knew it was coming off the N64 and going on what was to be the next console, which I think was the game. Yeah, it was
right,
the GameCube.
The Revolution.
Yeah, we had Dolphin development kits. I think
Dolphin,
they were called
that's
Dolphin.
right, Dolphin. I'm sorry, Revolution was the Wii. So,
yes. So it was always intended, but most of the team was still working because they'd just come off GK64 at that point, which was when I joined. And yeah, it went to the GameCube, then Xbox and 360, and Pervert.Zero did the same. I moved over to Perfect Dark Zero when it was on the Xbox. So I only did cameo on GameCube through to Xbox, and then moved over to help out on Perfect Dark Zero. But yeah, they were great times. They were.
You worked
tiring.
Oh my god! But you worked on stuff that I love so much. I mean, when you get some rest and you have some time, I would love to have you back just to talk about some of those old days of that, because I mean those are, in my heart, and I know like Juan's the same way with his retro stuff. Those are the golden. This is why a game like Raging Justice like speaks to me, because exactly the same way it speaks to you, those older games. And when the Xbox 360 was out, I had Next Level Gaming back in the day, around that time that you guys were doing Xbox and Xbox 360 and even GameCube, before Rare was purchased by Microsoft. Next Level Gaming was actually a website, so we were a full-on gaming site, like an IGN, like a GameSpot. And I remember when we got our, and I still have it somewhere. Don't tell anybody. I still have my debug Xbox 360, so I still have my red discs my green discs rather of Cameo and Perfect Dark, all the launch games that came out, and I loved. I mean, those Cameo was wonderful. I mean, I have to tell you, that stands in my top 10 of all time games is Cameo, and just the design of what they were of what she could do and the creatures she could become, and how that all melded into the level design was phenomenal. So when it came back out in Rare Replay, I was all too happy. But even like Grab by the Ghoulies, where everybody else hated, I'm the one of 3 people that love that game. Perfect Dark Zero, and then you also worked on some of the Kinect. You were part of the Kinect Sports stuff, right?
I was on the team that was doing some of the technology that went into Kinect Sports, not the sports itself. I did work on a previous sports-based prototype that in some ways inspired some of Kinect Sports, but I didn't work actually on Kinect Sports itself. It was the team that I was on was working with the Xbox platform team. We were coming up with the avatars and how to use those with Kinect. Okay. And that went over to, so it was a technology side that I was working on at that point.
So you were part of Kudo's team, right?
We were working with his team, but Kudo was more focused on Kinect Adventures, I think, at the time.
Gotcha.
It was back and forth with their team on the avatar stuff, yeah.
Well, and you see where the avatars have gone, so... Yeah, see, your fingerprints are all over the place, man. It's really cool, and that's something else, is that people can take a look at the fact that the MakinGames name is now just getting out there, but the man behind it is quite accomplished.
I've worked around.
Because you also worked at Codemasters, right? If I remember correctly.
I did. I was only for a year, but I was at Codemasters for a year on F1 Race Stars, which was a Formula One karting kind of game.
I remember that game.
Didn't set the world alight, but it was a fun little game to work on. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so yes, I mean you've got some chops in the development industry. So I mean, this is it all comes into knowing what comes into this.
Everything I've worked on has made me the programmer, and I suppose I don't think of myself as a game designer, despite having now designed a lot of the game. But the programmer that I am is based on all the people that I've worked with, all the little bits that I've taken on from working at Rare, from working at Codemasters, and they're all in Raging Justice, really. All the little things that I've learned, or little things people have told me, I've tried to keep on board while making it.
Yeah, what was the Cameo? Unfortunately, it slipped past me back in the day on the OG Xbox. I was so addicted to well, one of the things is I'm going to show in this week's retro actually, but it's nice that Rare Replay came along and backwards compatibility on Xbox.
Yes.
So it's on the to-do list still. I have it on console like twice through various means, but yeah, definitely something I want to go back through. Are you still in touch with people at Rare?
Yeah, I've got a few. I still live in the area, so I've got a few friends that still work there that I occasionally meet up with, and have a beer with and what have you.
See, I'm so jealous about that. They all seem like some really cool people watching the things they do for the Sea of Thieves. Like when I watch the developer videos they do and such, it really seem like some down-to-earth, really good people.
Yeah, it's a great place to work as far as I moved on because I personally didn't want to work on the Kinect. It was the right choice for Rare at the time. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they were wrong. It was just, it wasn't for me at the time. But they've moved on and they've even if you look at Kinect Sports, it's one of their best-selling things.
Absolutely, it is.
It had been anyway.
It wasn't as traditional, maybe in some ways that people wanted, but it was the right thing for Kinect. It was probably the best Kinect game that there was at the time.
On the Kinect 2 with the more recent one, I never thought it got proper credit for how good it was. I really enjoyed that actually. On the recent one, but no, I was joking that that had been the most because recently Sea of Thieves, of course, has become the fastest thing they've sold ever.
I mean, the people that I speak to, there a lot of the devs that are still on there. They're kind of feeling the positivity again. Although as we say, Kinect Sports was a great game for what it was. There was a lot of negativity around that because a lot of people didn't want Kinect. As I say, I wasn't a fan of it, but only because motion controls aren't really my cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? It's still good. It's still good. It doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It's just but there was a lot of negativity around that. But now it seems that with Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves, that there's a lot of positivity with it, and I hope that they continue.
I do too.
We've got such good kind of. It's got such a good. What's the word?
A player base?
Yeah, it seems that it's got such good ideas. It could go so far, is what I mean. It's so much to it that it could be, and it's already starting off quite well from what I've read, and it could be absolutely huge, couldn't it? Really, I hope it does.
Do you have an Xbox One X or X?
I've got an Xbox One, not a One X.
I was just curious because we're big proponents of that game. We play it quite often, and we would definitely have a spot on our boat for you.
I need to get it. To be honest, I've got Game Pass.
There you go.
I've just got to get the time.
All right. So
I need a little break away from computers for a bit, and then
launch the game, and then come sail with us.
Yeah.
So. It's a good time every time. We really have. It's really an enjoyable experience. It's almost like an MMO light or whatever, but just just kind of working together to do the procedure, just the act of sailing the ship together, and just shooting the shit while you do it is so great, and we'd love to have you on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Try and sort something out. You can show me how to do it because I've got no idea.
Yeah, no problem.
That's actually one of the cool things about it because it's very, very intuitive. It's very, you run up and there's a button prompt, lower the sail up and down with the stick to get the sail up or down, or hold this button to load a cannonball and pull the trigger. It's not tough. Anyone can hop in and pretty quickly be a part of it. And I think one of my favorite things about it is that there's no barriers to entry whatsoever. The fact that we've been playing almost religiously. There won't be anything that keeps you from just hopping on the boat and being able to go with us because there's not like light levels or gear restrictions or anything that would keep us from just being able to just welcome you on board as opposed to having to play an alt to play with you or play down to be able to play with you or whatever.
I think that's the thing that probably appeals to me most about it is that kind of lack of grinding, so to speak, in terms of for getting started.
Right.
There's plenty, from what I understand, to grind if that's your thing. In terms of getting more of the money and stuff for better aesthetics. Is it that you can buy?
It's mostly cosmetics that you can purchase.
Yeah, cosmetics. Yeah.
And it's definitely grindy. If you want to get like to the top tier stuff, it's super grindy. But but it's the act of doing so with friends that makes it enjoyable for me. And that whole low barrier of entry means that if someone, like, because a lot of people, it's gotten some flack too from people who got into it and just found, this is it. There's not something else for me to do, and maybe there was some expectation problems there too. But for those people who got into it, that was kind of cool for the first couple hours, and then kind of felt like they ran out of things to do. As they add stuff, that low barrier of entry means that you can come right back. You can hop back in and join with someone who's been playing the whole time. It's pretty brilliant.
Just so you know, one of our other co-hosts, Nathan, who was going to be on with us. He was the one I was trying to get on. Apparently, he had an issue where he couldn't find his microphone for his Skype, so he couldn't make it on.
Okay.
So, we miss you today, Nate. But so, all right, because I do know it's 10:30 where you are, and we would like to get you some sleep. So if you have a few moments to hang out for a great segment here real quick, we want to welcome you to watch Juan's retro recommendation with us, and then we're going to get you to give us the final skinny on Raging Justice and that kind of stuff, and then we'll get you out so you get some sleep. And we definitely, when we come, it'll be about that. So if you can hang out another 10 minutes with us,
no problem.
Sounds good. All right, so Juan, we're going to switch over to you to my favorite segment.
I got my notes.
Excellent. I have not yet changed the music, so it's still Outrun, but I don't care.
Fair enough.
It's not YouTube. They won't copyright strike us.
Right.
Speaking of Streets of Rage,
covered that a few weeks back.
You guys can all hear the audio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There you go. A Contra sequel. There's your next game, Nick. I'm actually redoing these as well, Juan, so in a couple of weeks, these are going to look nicer, too, just so you know.
Cool. Well, look fine to me, but do your best.
Right.
Or worst.
Don't tell me that. All right, when are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead and kick it off. We're going to be talking today about Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge, circa 2003 on the OG Xbox. And I kind of want to give this one just its run at the start.
Steady, Nathan. Steady now. No sudden movements. Steady. Problem with the high stakes table, Nathan. A few bad hands and you could lose everything. Your Zeppelin, your money, your plane. A man should never mix his champagne with poker. Good spirits lead to bad wages. Pardon the intrusion, Sheriff, but a shrewd gambler always collects his debts early. So long, Nathan.
Get a little side boob there.
Well, I trust I was a gentleman last night. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a plane to catch.
So yeah, going back to 2003, this is one of my favorite games on the OG Xbox, and reviewing it today on the OG PC on my Xbox One X. Recorded the footage from that. Normally I do regular hardware, but given the opportunity to do it from the Xbox One X, I took that. It was developed by Fossa Studio, who were founded originally in 1995 by the tabletop game company Fossa Corporation. Huge BattleTech fan myself on tabletop gaming, so it goes way back for that. Spectrum Holobyte also was part of that. In 1996, they became a wholly owned subsidiary of Virtual World Entertainment Group, which was in turn purchased by Microsoft in 1999. They developed games for Windows and for Xbox. The series Mech Commander, Mech Warrior, Mech Assault, all those series of games, along with Crimson Skies here, and Shadowrun in 2007. And we're seeing gameplay here again on the X with the with the resolution bump. Not so much the textures, all original textures, and obviously the gameplay. The cinematics are all playing the same. So you get a kind of almost a jarring difference there. But it is really interesting to see this all cleaned up in gameplay. That was published by Microsoft Game Studios. They were established in 2002 to coincide with the launch or release of the Xbox. Previously have been known as Microsoft Games, and now they're known as MS Studios. They develop and publish games in conjunction with third-party studios, known for Age of Empires, Banjo-Kazooie, Crackdown, Forza, Halo, Gears, Killer Instinct, Fable, Minecraft, Perfect Dark, Zoo Tycoon, and the Flight Simulator series. Gameplay here is a single-player arcade flight action game, and it also has multiplayer modes on Xbox Live. Players take the role of Nathan Zachary, leader of the Fortune Hunters, a band of sky pirates. Largely, gameplay consists of controlling an aircraft from a third-person perspective. It's arcade flight, so it's got the relaxed physics and simplified controls. Automated takeoffs and landings are just animations. The project lead, Jim Deal, explained that was really for ease of access to get people in and playing, and to kind of focus on the action as opposed to the details of, modeling flight. Players follow the story of Nathan and the Fortune Hunters as they deal with rival sky pirate gangs like the Raging Cajuns, and get embroiled in the plot of a former German scientist developing a doomsday weather control device. Players engage in various missions to earn money and advance the story, ranging from straight dogfights to escort missions, search and recover using a gyro helicopter, and stunt races. There are several locations in the area that change as the plot advances, and they each kind of function as kind of a hub, almost an open, like a semi-open world type design, with missions scattered across that can either be optional for monetary gain or advance the plot. Players can explore the area to find neutral ships to plunder as sky pirates, optional missions to make money like stunt races or search and rescue kind of things. Also, you can find aircraft to steal, and if you return to their Zeppelin home base, the Pandora you're seeing here, then that becomes part of your inventory as the Fortune Hunters, and you can then fly back and choose that plane or upgrade it at any given point in time from your garage. There are 12 playable aircraft, including 2 DLC planes. Each has a distinct performance, armor, and weapon characteristics, and also a particular secondary weapon, like the Devastator we saw earlier has the magnetic rockets that can have a limited seeking capability. Later planes have, say, Tesla coils or other various secondary weapons. All planes can perform special maneuvers like the split S and the Immelman for snap turns or changing directions quickly, barrel rolls for evasion. It's all done through manipulating the analog sticks. Each time you do that, it consumes some of the special meter, which is also consumed when you use the boost ability. And when you run out of special, then the plane kind of goes into an uncontrolled state for a brief period of time as you've stalled, and which could make a pretty big difference, especially if you were playing the multiplayer back in the day, which is a big time addiction for me at the time. Players can purchase an upgrade package for each plane that increases its stats across the board. It's pretty simplistic compared to the PC version of the game, but that came out before this, where you just buy the upgrade and that's what it is. You just get the new stats, but no customization, if you will. The upgrade is done by collecting these tokens. You'll see one here as we fly through the stunt point, and money. A certain number of tokens and money is required to upgrade any given plane, and they each have that one upgrade you can do. Armor and secondary weapons can be picked up from defeated enemies or from locations, kind of tight areas to fly through, scattered around, which is in keeping with its arcade, aesthetic, having the health and weapon pickups. Often the player will be tasked with have the option of manning static anti-aircraft defenses of different types, like the quad machine guns, the twin heavy cannons, and also at certain points even wire-guided rocket launchers. And usually that's either an option, like if your plane is getting pretty beat up and you're in an engagement with the Pandora, you can dock with it and hop in the Pandora and start using some of those turrets. It's got if you're running out of armor in a pinch. Or it could be a plot device here where we find Big John and we do that task for him, help him out, and then he can come pilot the Pandora for us, because as we saw earlier, Nathan's not too great at it and ran into that radio tower. It did feature multiplayer, which was kind of a big thing for the day. We're talking, early 2000s, so on Xbox, that was one of the big selling points. And it had actually split screen from up to 4 players couch co-op, up to 16 via System Link, and 16 on Xbox Live. You could also play split screen on live, so everybody could go online with it. Modes included your dogfight, like your standard deathmatch and solo or team play, flag heist, which was a CTF type mode, capture the flag, keep away, which is basically the first team to hold or keep an artifact for a certain period of time, cumulatively wins, and wild chicken, which is kind of like a hybrid CTF and deathmatch, where points are awarded for kills and also for returning the wild chicken to your team's base. Here I've stolen a Raging Cajun dolphin plane and engaging one of their zeppelins, which were kind of mini bosses. The game does feature some over-the-top bosses, giant mecha spiders and things like that. I played a lot of the multiplayer coming up. That's what I was doing. Those other games I missed on Live came out. It was originally designed to be an interactive movie, but that idea was scrapped in development, and the game was actually delayed to facilitate changing it to what it is now. This also precipitated a shift away from the kind of sim experience that the tabletop and PC games have to be more of an adventure with over-the-top 30s, Pulp Fiction kind of style. During that increased development time, the developers decided to add multiplayer, and originally it was supposed to have a fully destructible environment, but that idea was scrapped before they finished it. Commercially, it was only moderately successful. It's now considered something of a cult classic. Its critical reception was much more positive. GameSpy called it one of the most fun and unique games to hit the scene in a while. Critics praised the game's graphics, particularly the explosions, the long draw distances, and the large open environments. The game's audio, the strong voice acting, and swashbuckling adventurous music were also lauded. It currently holds a Metacritic of 88, actually. It's readily available for less than $10 online for a physical copy if you want to hit up eBay or something like that. I think I got mine for about $8 at a local reseller. And now it's available on the Xbox Store for $9.99 through the backwards compatibility. So all that availability and the kind of uniqueness of it, there's not really much like it on console. Makes it this week's retro recommendation.
A fantastic one.
Yeah, an awesome game.
And one of those that once again harkens to my old youth when I was young.
Yeah, I played through it just a couple of years ago, actually, before I think it might have been before they rolled out backwards compatibility. But definitely before OG, anyway.
Did you play it in OG?
I played it on my OG back in the day, and then I did a series 2 years ago on the OG hardware.
Yes, you did, which we have on our.
And then this video was done on the X. So,
well, I love doing this because when you put these ones up, and I'm able to find them on the Wayback Machine, because they do. I don't know how this place does it, but the Internet Archive Wayback Machine captured 400 and some odd pages of my old site, and in there, sorry, I didn't mean to move it, was my Crimson Skies review from 2003. And I believe I gave it a 90.
Nice.
This was a hot title. I remember seeing it at E3, and I was blown away. So, and even at that, I said play it just for the online alone, because at the time the online was just beautiful. So yeah, that was it was such a great game. And so anybody who wants to check out an old review, what I'm thinking of doing is, because we're now a Inner Circle Network affiliate, part of what we have to do for the Inner Circle is contribute to their website and things like that. What I'm thinking of doing is allowing them or having them let me reprint these old reviews so that they can have them, so that people today can see what those reviews were like. So
yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. And I really enjoyed that game. I think if you're, either if you're an Xbox owner and you've got the opportunity to check it out on BC, it's definitely worth doing so. Or if you are, into collecting the old hardware like I am too, then it's definitely one that deserves to be in your collection.
Very much so. So, all right. So thank you very much, Juan. And so Nick, all right, we're gonna wrap this up with you. First off, I want to tell you, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we could finally make this happen, man. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. So the way we work this is, well, and this is harder for you because our normal start time is 9 o'clock. But if you have insomnia one night and you're like, and you can't sleep, hey Mike, can I come on and talk some games with you? Because we also, we'll have to have you back on at some point, because we'll have to do the game of the week and the backlog game, because I'm curious as to what kind of stuff you play when you're not creating Raging Justice. But this has been just an absolute honor, and we're so happy that you came on with us.
Oh, thank
you. Definitely.
So give us the final scoop. Okay, so on Tuesday, May 8th, people are going to be able to get this on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, and Steam for the low price of
$14.99.
That is a steal.
Yeah.
And there'll be a 10% launch discount.
Oh,
sweet!
Get this game, folks. So we're gonna replay.
We
this.
want the price not to be an issue. We want you see the game. We want your decision process to be shortcut. We don't want you to look at the price. I'll wait for that. It's cheap enough that you don't have to wait for a sale.
No, you don't.
There, though. It's not a cheap. It's not a crappy little game. It's a. We put our heart and soul into this. We've got a nice bit. It's quite big, especially I've been chatting with someone online who's been previewing it on Xbox, and they've been trying to get all the achievements. So for those achievement hunters out there, it will take you a while to get them. You'll enjoy getting them. I mean, the guy that I've been speaking to, he said he's probably put in 15 hours into it, 15 to 20 hours to try and to get all 50 achievements that we put in there.
50?
Damn. Yeah, we put 50. When we launched way back on the 360, 50 was the stand, or it was almost suggested as the standard. It was the maximum you could do. Perfect Zero, we put 50 in. I don't know how many went into Cameo, but Perfect Zero, the first game that I was on for launch, I had 50 achievements. So I had in my head, we're going to have 50 achievements, just because of that, not because I was looking at how many I was allowed or how many I should have. So yeah, we got 50 achievements.
Wow.
It's a game to test.
It's just getting
it's
on.
Worth it.
Yeah. Nice. Now, didn't I get a chance to ask you earlier, any PS Pro or X enhancement?
I haven't, because I haven't got the dev kits for it. I never got to test them, but I know that it was tested at Team 17 that they should run at 4K, I believe, but because of the style of game, you won't necessarily see much improvement on it, other than it should render in a native 4K, so maybe the movement's a little bit smoother across the screen, that kind of thing. But we've made sure that we're hitting that 60 frames a second on everything. We want it to feel as smooth on everybody's device.
1080p 1080p on base hardware?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. All right, so make sure, guys, that you're picking this game up and giving it a try for $15. I mean, that's a movie ticket. I mean, seriously.
We look at the game and we think it's kind of a popcorn movie kind of game, if you want to put a movie parallel on it. It's not an Oscar winner. It's not that kind of thing. It's not one that you spend some time and you get really invested in. It's one that you put on because you're going to have a couple of hours enjoyment that night. It's the popcorn movie. It's the leave your brain at the door in some regards. There's depth to the gameplay, but just have fun.
That's great.
It's your couple of hours fun. It's that for a few nights. That's what we're going for.
Awesome.
And I was looking on the main site because I see your awesome T-shirt. Are we going to be able to get merch?
It's on the plan is to get the T-shirts up on
all right,
website if people want it.
I'll work something out to trade you. I'll send you an NLG shirt. You send us a Raging Justice shirt. I got to work something out with you. So, but when you do have that available and you guys are starting to sell T-shirts and stuff, we'll let our folks, our followers and stuff know for sure.
Thank you.
So, and I have a feeling next week we'll have fresh footage on our regular show because this is going to be one of ours game of the week. It's just going to happen. So, Nick, thank you so much, man. Seriously, this was great, and try to get you in bed before 11. So, anything else before we go? Anything else you'd like to share about the game? About anything we didn't get to?
Quick tips and tricks.
Okay. Quick. So, if you're aiming for the high score, the combo is king. So pick possibly Ashley, the kid character. They've got much more faster combo system in there, and they're weaker, so it takes more hits to knock down an enemy. So you can get a higher combo score.
Higher score, right?
That's a good tip for the high score. But if you want pure power, select Rick. He's got the power. He's a little bit slower, but he's definitely got the kind of the raw energy in him. In terms of the third character, Nikki, she's the more balanced of the three. So that's my tip on picking a character. But in terms of playthrough, enjoy it. It's there to be enjoyed. You need energy. You arrest people. Arresting people is where you get your health. That's how you.
Nice.
Yeah, because you lose health when you, especially when you do those big.
Yes, the spin kick will take off. Will chip your own damage because it's a special move. I don't want people always using that chips down.
A la Streets of Rage.
It's from the Streets of Rage Final Fight era. You had a special move. It kind of got you out of trouble, but it at the cost of some health. Yeah. So you're going to use that when you're under siege. But when you have a quiet mode, if you're going to arrest some people, you'll get your health back. And each level, we store your best stats at the end of the level. So when you go to the level select screen, it's your best stats that you're pushing forward each time.
Nice.
So it's important to push forward the good stats to be able to complete the game.
Nice.
It's quite.
Man. All right.
Yeah,
so thank you again, man. This has been awesome. And I can't wait to have you back on soon. Hopefully to tell us that you sold 1 million copies and that you guys are. So you get that would be the best, and I think hopefully down the line maybe see it Game Pass, something like that, where you can where you can get out to even more people. But if you're watching this, you got to get this game. I mean, you've seen enough.
Absolutely.
I think you've seen an hour and a half of footage here. I think that's enough to show you that this game is for real. So we can't wait for it to launch, and just thank you for coming and bringing some of that knowledge with you today, because it's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I'm gonna play the announcement of the character announcement trailer, because that one I just want to show the bear one more time, and then we'll show our outro. Thank you everyone for watching. We are Next Level Gaming. We are here Sunday nights, typically at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you next Sunday. Actually, we're gonna have to talk about next Sunday, because next Sunday is Mother's Day. So we'll see. My wife.
Get back on that.
Yeah, my wife usually demands steak that night, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be available. But if not, then we'll see you the following Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. While I am getting the video ready, I want to thank everybody once again. Catch the end of it. Thank everybody for watching, for checking us out. We will replay this, by the way, on Tuesday, so people can see this while they launch, while the game launches.
Cool.
So, all right. Have a good night and play
Rated
on,
T
gamers.
for teen.
Game on.
love that.